welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast brought to you by Tropes.
Tropes. It's what's for
Tropes.
dinner.
Bet you can't eat just one.
What is that? I can never. Jon Stewart comes up with the best things for Arby's. We should do that for something like Tropes or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Now you can. I'll have the number 6. It's a spicy trope sandwich and a medium shake.
But no, he'll say stuff like Arby's, the Hannity of fast food sandwiches, or something like that. You know what I mean?
I wonder if they pay him.
No,
for-
they don't. I don't know. He even admits, like, I don't know why we do that. They're perfectly nice people. He will say that they sent us free sandwiches. It's really fucking hilarious.
Well, I do like Arby's sandwiches. You know what's kind of nasty though is if you've ever seen the roast beef that comes in before they slice it.
I don't want to.
It's like
I don't want to.
It looks like a Jello brain.
I don't even want to. No, I don't want to.
It looks nothing like anything
Oh God.
that has ever walked the earth.
Oh God.
It's like if you could open a portal to another dimension,
Oh no.
it would be like the plane of beef. Where you know how like in Dungeons and Dragons you have like the fire plane and there's like all the fire elementals and stuff and everything's fire, right? If
Yeah.
you could open up to a plane of roast beef, and this would be like a roast beef elemental,
Right.
you know, just like a blob of roast beef from a plane where only roast beef exists.
Right.
That's kind of what Arby's roast beef is like in its native form. I don't know what the hell it is. I think it's like extruded. They actually, it's liquid or something. It's like roast beef pudding, and then it kind of congeals.
Is the stream up? Can you see it?
No,
What?
I don't. What? Yeah, it's up.
Oh,
What is
great.
that? What is it?
You didn't read the title screen that I had on?
No. Oh God, it's some Star Trek stuff. Trade Federation. What the crap, dude? Is this the first Starfighter game?
It's Jedi Starfighter.
Oh, Jedi Starfighter.
Yeah.
On the Xbox?
No, this is the PS2 copy. I'm using an emulator. I ripped
Oh.
I ripped my copy of it to an ISO because I actually legally own this. It's actually in my drive right now,
Oh,
and
I
I'm
didn't know
using
that they even made Jedi Starfighter for the PS2. I knew it was on the Xbox.
yeah Xbox and PS2. And I
Oh.
was talking to Knack about this in the chat room, and Star Wars is like the cause of so much tropiness in space gaming that I figured it'd be funny to just you know,
Oh, absolutely.
if I could do this. But let's talk about Steam first. I mean, we're going to get to Tropes, but you came back from Ohio the other day, or
yes,
yesterday.
Ohio, where it's
You were in
windy
Ohio,
shit.
and
Wow, dude, the wind on the highway
yeah.
was like 40-mile-an-hour crosswind gusts that
Was
would
that
blow
in the,
me
was that in the
in
mountains?
the next lane. Huh? Yeah,
Was
in
that
the
in the
mountains.
mountains?
But
In
it
the
was
Poconos?
even like in the flat spots of Ohio.
In the
Like
Appalachians?
on 77 headed south. Well, it's hills, right? But
Yeah.
compared to the West Virginia mountains, it's flat. But in the mountains, you ever get like between two buildings and it becomes like a wind tunnel, right? Because it just kind of channels the wind in the alleyway. So that's kind of how these mountains are.
Right.
Because the wind hits and then it kind of funnels it in a particular direction. So what you end up with is a very concentrated, just a wall of wind, where there's no wind, and then there's a giant wall of 40-mile-an-hour sideways wind, and then it's gone again, right? Because you just went past a gap in the mountains, and it's pretty shocking. The only way to survive that is to watch the leaves that are blowing. And if you see a little leaf tornado in front of the car, it's time to white knuckle the steering wheel because here
Oh,
it
really?
comes. Yeah, dude. I'm so glad that I did that in the daytime instead of at night.
Oh, that'd be
'Cause-
terrifying.
Oh my gosh, yeah, terrible. Then you're watching for
Whoops.
deer and all kind of everything. It's bad.
Right.
I hate doing that drive. I do it once a year because I must. And other than that, no.
Is Jones' family up there too? I forget.
Yeah, and that's basically it. Like, you know, my sister, she could come down here if she wants to see me, but with her dad, It's like he's not in the greatest of shape. So
Mm.
it's like long car rides are not his thing anymore.
No, that's fair. That makes
So,
sense.
but anyway,
So yeah,
space.
you come back and you start bombarding my IM with Steam links because you found just I didn't even know this. I barely look at the new releases list on Steam or the upcoming soon list. I should, but they're
Yeah.
like eight. They're like what, four spacey games that
Oh,
just
dude,
dropped.
there's oh god, a shitload of space. Okay, so here's the secret to my success.
Yeah.
I go to Steam
Uh huh.
and I in the search I put in space.
Really?
Right? Oh yeah, totally. So here's
That
what I get.
works?
Yeah, man. Okay, so
I
then
would think
I
that'd be
sort by
super.
release date. So Space Salvager,
Yep.
you
That
remember
just.
him?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
out. Yeah, so he's out.
Yep. Got to keep for that.
And he has a demo too, both of which
Oh,
released
you know
today.
the poor guy. He released the demo and the real version. Like something happened with the exe where it was misnamed or something,
Oh wow.
and like so people were complaining. It's like, oh, I feel so bad for you.
So a
But
point and click adventure called Space Legends at the
what
end of the universe.
I saw that
That came out.
that looks kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but then again, we got Julia in space.
Yeah,
It's also a
but
point and click adventure.
that
It's
looks a
Myst in
little.
space.
That looks a little more. I thought that was a little more interactive. I thought.
Yeah. So then there's Kinetic Void, which is getting a lot of downvotes
Oh well,
because they
it's
said,
not done
well, that's the thing is they said, well, why is this even released now?
because they have no money.
still,
They ran out of money.
so
Excuse
they're
me.
basically saying, okay, everybody that was waiting for it to be done, now's the time. Give us the money.
Yeah, pretty much. And the sad thing about that is Steam just changed their early access policies to say, "Hey, don't expect to make money off and don't like prepare to fund your entire early release off sales. You should have a
Yeah.
better plan than that." And they're absolutely right.
So speaking of early access, Celestial Command. I've never heard of this, and I'm looking at it, and it really looks kind of good.
Yeah, it does.
I
I'm
have
waiting.
no idea what's going on. I see like the ships apparently move in orbits because there's like a blue orbit line that's going there, and he's like bolting pieces onto the ship, and it looks kind of cool. The ship actually kind of looks like an FTL ship from above or
Right.
something. And there's a little bit of one of the screenshots has got some pew 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 laser stuff going on. So that's interesting. It's $7.99. I might have to
Yeah.
jump on that.
Yep.
Fractured Space.
Yeah, I haven't
That
touched
just
that.
yeah, that just popped out. It's the problem here. It's $10, right?
Right.
Everybody that owned it was some other game. I forget what game it was.
Strike Suit Zero.
Oh, Strike Suit. Okay.
These are the same
so,
folks.
So everybody got this thing for free for like what, 24, 48 hours or something.
Yeah, something like that.
They should have gave it to everybody for like a week because 24-hour window is not enough to even notice that you had it.
I
Right.
agree.
So I looked and I was like, "Oh, what the heck is this?" And I'd never heard of it. And I went to the store page and I'm like, "Oh, I don't remember buying that." Okay. you know,
Yeah.
whatever. And I fired it up though and looked at it and it was like,
You've gotten further than me.
yeah, oh, dude, it's play it. If you've still got it in your list for free, fire it up.
Oh no, I got a key.
It's-
I got it. I got
Oh,
a key. So
you
I
bastard.
well,
What-
you know,
Why don't you tell people 2 keys? It's a 2 key minimum here.
they did. I didn't even ask. They just sent me one. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
So there's that.
It is fun. And
Okay. Is it a
the
MOBA?
problem- yeah, it's sort of League of Legends in capital ships, but it's not like that other one that I can't remember.
Stellar.
Yeah,
Stellar something. Impact.
Stellar Impact. Yeah,
Oh.
it's not that.
Oh, good.
And
That
it's
was
not
such a
like-
horrible game.
Well, and then there's another one too, where instead of being third person behind the ship, because Stellar Impact was that the one where it was more like Battleship in space.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's another one as well that is kind of like War Thunder in space.
Oh. God
That's-
Factory
that-
Wingmen.
No, not that. Well, I mean that one might be too, but I can't remember what the other one was. It came out and it was like team versus team.
Oh,
And-
Star Conflict.
Yeah, Star Conflict.
Apparently
Right.
that
So
sucked for a while, and then it's gotten better. Apparently.
yeah, and I haven't been in it in the like way better phase, but I was in it when it was getting better,
Yeah.
and it was like okay, it wasn't my thing. But
Right.
Fractured Space is like that kind of game, but it's more my thing, right? So
Hmm.
it actually has a little bit of the feel of like combat from Eve Online,
Oh.
a little bit.
Yay. Oh, that's.
Uh,
I love that.
yeah,
That's.
and that's why
I'm
it's kind of
kidding.
cool.
I'm
So
so fucking kidding. I can't stand the
well,
combat in EVE Online.
but you actually fly the ship here,
Oh,
okay? And you
really?
aim the guns.
Well,
Yeah, so
that's
you
better.
lock onto a guy, and it takes. You know what? Did you ever play World of Tanks?
No.
Okay, well, it plays a lot like World of Tanks because you can spin the view around, but it takes time for the turrets to catch up. So
Yeah.
you can spin the view around and lock onto a guy, and then the turrets will come around, and then you can
Okay.
fire at him. And then the ships have, like missile racks and different lasers and stuff, right? And
Right.
whenever you start into a game, you pick which type of ship you're going to play. So I picked like a little frigate, but they have like super battleships and crap in there too. I'm sure there's going to be some points distribution once it gets out of alpha, where it's you're going to have to probably earn bigger ships or something. I can't see like coming in there and just being like, yeah, give me the super battleship. Sweet, I'm a noob. But I had fun just cruising around in a destroyer, and it's like multiple jump gates that you go through.
Right.
There was like three of them on the map that I was on. So there was like a neutral in the middle, and then a jump on either end that was the enemy base, right? Your base and their base,
Right.
and basically you had to get in there and dock close enough to a space station, and it's like or not capture the flag, capture and hold, where it's like you get close enough to their flag and it starts turning your color and they have to come eject you before you capture that area. So
Right.
it's kind of like taking their space stations, and and then there's like neutral crap in the middle. So it's interesting.
Are
I hope
you
it does well.
Are you
The
around?
problem
Oh, sorry.
well, the problem with it is going to be how many people are playing it, and that's the thing that I've heard about God Factory Wingman and such, is that it's like, well, when the game came out, there's like 20 people, right? And then if it hits the Steam sale, which is happening day after tomorrow.
No, it's
Um,
happening tomorrow. I thought.
oh, tomorrow?
I
Oh,
think
okay.
so.
Well,
As we record this, we're recording on the what, the 24th? I think this is
yeah,
25th. So
no,
yeah,
25th.
I
I
believe it
thought it was the
starts.
27th, but okay. Well, one day, one way or the other. It's
Yeah,
while
soon,
it
very
was
soon. It's very soon.
so. I think I actually own everything that I want. So
I'm pretty
I
there too, unless something goes on a real deep discount.
yeah. So yeah. So basically, this game it might be like when the Steam sale happens, if they put a deep discount on it, it might get a player base. But I think honestly, they should put this thing in like trial mode for free for a month and just let people play it. And because it's going to be word of mouth, like, hey man, you got to come and play this thing or whatever, and just let people get into it and then charge for it or something. But I'm glad that it's not freemium, right? Like, oh, it's free,
Yeah.
and then you have to buy your ships. Oh no. So that's okay. Amplitude has put out the Endless Pack, which is $80.
I saw that. Oh my god. Sorry, I just had
Yeah,
a
but
cat.
that's endless everything, right? So
Yeah.
it's endless. And you know what? The upgrades to Endless Space are
Uh-huh.
endless because they just put another one out. It's gonna be tomorrow, I
Well,
think.
that the
And
fun. I'm sorry, I couldn't
yeah,
resist.
well, dude, it's not a terrible game. And they learned, dude. Have you played Endless Legend?
Dude, I love and see, here's the fucking thing. I love Endless Legend, and I love Dungeon of the Endless a lot. I love both of those games, but I don't know if I can bring myself to try. Uh, I don't know if I can bring myself to try. There's a cat in my lap. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Harry. Anyway,
Well, but
I don't,
it's like Endless Space. What they need to do is take the stuff that they've learned from Endless Legend and just go back patch it a little bit, right? Like I don't see that there's a lot of money to be made in it now because it's everybody who wanted it has it.
pretty much.
So
Yeah.
fine. But if they're going to continue to patch this thing anyway, there's some stuff that they could put in there that
Oh,
wouldn't
not disagreeing with
fundamentally
you at all.
yeah, So so there was that. Okay, so Ensign One
Yeah, you know
that
what?
came out November 13th.
I bought that on Desura like 3 years ago, and it was super early. So I played it, and I'm like, "There's not much here. I don't really know where this is going." So I shelved it because I'm like, "I don't know where this is going."
Yeah.
And so I just played it. Oh, there he goes. Damn cat. Hi. Um, I played it, and it looks interesting. It's a Wing Commander esque thingy with what
Hmm.
looks like a branching campaign path. I don't know if it's dynamic, but it looks more story based. But
Oh, that's neat. And it's
the
got
path.
some FPS stuff too. You get out of the ship and actually run around.
Does it? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
To me, the screenshots, whenever he's like sitting in the cockpit looking around,
Yeah.
looks like Evercron to me.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. I can kind of
but
see that.
watching the actual gameplay, it definitely ain't Evercron. So,
No, no, it's
and
definitely
I mean
more
that
in
in a
the.
good way,
Yeah,
because
it's definitely
Ever
more in the Wing Commander
yeah.
vein.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah,
Um,
I just played that for 2 minutes.
but yeah,
Uh,
the videos that they have on the site of it, if you just watch the first trailer, in fact, it has a guy. He's got like some kind of laser cannon, and he's running around in the hallways of a ship. There's
yeah.
also turret sequences apparently, because I'm seeing some of that. And there's stuff where you fly descent style, like fly your ship through tunnels.
Oh, that's pretty great.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Oh,
That's a maybe. You can't wish list it when it's in early access though.
yes, yes, you can wish list shit in early
Oh wait, I'm
access.
not signed in. That's why.
I was about to say
I think it is on my wish list.
I have shitloads
So
of shit in early access wish
so
listed.
Christmas is coming. Look
I
at my wish
know.
list.
Well,
Um.
Thanksgiving is coming.
Oh yeah. So there's
Gabe
that.
wants your money, people, and he's gonna have it.
That's right.
He's gonna
'Cause,
have it.
let's see what else happened here. Space Hulk Ascension is out.
I heard that's actually good.
It is. It is. Yeah. The one thing that's missing, there's no multiplayer. Zero
What?
multiplayer. Yeah, it's a single player campaign only. If you want to play multiplayer, play the original.
What?
Yeah. But
That's
then
just.
again, have you played Space Hulk
I
with a
played
person?
the original back in the '90s. I played that one.
Okay, but so you've never actually played the board game with somebody.
No, just the computer game that came out in like the mid to late '90s
Right. So
or
that
the
was
early to mid
and
'90s.
so you didn't get the PC one either that came out before this one, the one that was out like last
No,
year.
apparently the reviews for that were so middling and
Yeah,
poor.
it was
So
pretty middling at the beginning, and what they did, they tightened it up and they sped up the animations and they fixed some UI stuff and that, and then it became the game that they promised. The problem is, it was the game that they promised, right? So, Space Hulk is an excellent beer and pretzels, have fun with your buddies kind of game, where it doesn't take a lot of thought and it's kind of random mechanics of the dice and roll the dice and adventure happens, right? Because like if you roll snake eyes, your gun jams, right? Stuff like that, when your gun jams, then that guy dies, and maybe the guy behind him dies, and maybe the guy behind him dies, right? Because the gene
right,
stealers, if if the gene stealer player is rolling right, you get a gun jam and it's just like getting hit by a bowling ball. It just comes right through your guys. So it's not necessarily the most fair game that's ever been. And for the gene stealer player, there's really what can you do, right? You just spend the whole game like charging into boulder fire and hoping that the guy jams. That's really, you can do some stuff, right? Like, you have a blip, and in the board game, you don't know how many gene stealers are on that blip. You don't, and the other player doesn't either.
uh,
So it's fun when you get there. It's like how many can you do? Oh, flip it over. Oh, damn, I got like five guys, right? So, and yeah, so it's a very random game. There's not a lot of tactical whatever to it. It's just a game that you both watch happen, kind of. But
fun.
I mean, the Marine player has to be good, or he's not going to make it. But I mean, it's kind of an XCOM in a hallway board game that's very unfair. So, but the game that they made last year was exactly that game with the same dice mechanics and everything, and that's why people were like, this isn't really as awesome, because we'd just get killed by random shit. It's like, yeah, that's exactly how the board game is. So, anyway, this time around, they put some story in it, and they made the UI even better. And it's kind of like an RPG, so you can level up your dudes like mission to mission, and they learn new skills, and you can get equipment for them, and stuff like that. So it's cool,
Okay.
and I was enjoying it. It's like $30 now. It was 20 the day it came out, 22 or something. So I grabbed it right then, and they were not very clear that there's no multiplayer. So I just want to be very clear about that. There's no
Well,
multi.
that's weird.
Um,
I mean, isn't it's a board? It's a multiplayer like board game, isn't it?
well, yeah,
Supposedly.
but the thing is, if you would put the multiplayer in, it kind of kills it. Really, the thing that they did with this one, because it's so much of an ongoing campaign, the
Right.
board game aspect of it would kind of kill it. If you had to have two players. Now, what I could see happen is multiplayer co-op. That
Huh.
would be very interesting. And just let the computer play the damn Gene Stealers, because they're just a mindless Zerg rush anyway. There's not a lot of thought that goes into that. It's just like charge down the hall and hope you don't die. Um, but yeah, if you had two groups of Terminators and you have two players control them, that would be cool. You could work and support each other, and whatever. But yeah, they just didn't do it. Maybe it'll get patched in. I don't know. So there's another tomorrow. The other Warhammer 40K game is coming out from Slithering.
Oh,
The
Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon. Now that it's built on their Panzer Commander. Is it Panzer Commander? Because there's Panzer General, which is the old game, and then they have Panzer something. Panzer Commander, I
Panzer
think is.
Corps. Panzer Corps.
Panzer Corps, yeah. So that's the new guy, and it's kind of a Panzer General light sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was reading the rule book, right? Because you can go on Steam and download the rules and read it. So they
Oh,
don't
that's
have a
pretty
lot
cool.
of terrain stuff that's going on. There's no elevation stuff. It's just the things that you would think would be important. And it's like, you'll have a tank on the map. It's like, here's a tank, and it actually represents 10 tanks, and it's got a little number 10 under it. So as they die, then that becomes like 987, whatever. So it's not really displaying all the units that you have with the size that they are, but it's got like Titans and stuff out there. It's basically like epic scale 40K, where you actually had the Titans on the table, and then the guys were like little 3 millimeter tall figures on a base. You'd have like 10 guys on a base. It was like five actually, 5 dudes on a little 1 inch square base, right? And it was basically the vehicular combat version of 40K on a very tiny scale. We sold it at the hobby shop that I used to
Huh.
hang at all the time back in the 90s. I never saw anybody play it. A lot of people bought it, but I never got to see anybody play it. I think, however, what would be an excellent engine to do a 40K game in
What's that?
is their Battle Academy engine. That
Isn't
would
that
be fabulous.
isn't that
Because
other game? Isn't that latest game of theirs in the Battle Academy engine?
well, Hell is in Battle Academy. That was from Murdered Cow or whoever those guys are. Um, Hell's not bad. It doesn't have any kind of a like complicated strategy campaign or anything. It's just 10 scenarios is the good guys, 10 scenarios is the bad guys. But it's not a bad game. Um, and then the Pike and Shot is the other war game that just came out in the Battle Academy engine. And then of course there's Battle Academy 1 and 2 and
Right.
some other stuff I think uses it. But it's basically it's a safe bet. If it comes out in the Battle Academy engine, it's going to be on the iPad within a couple months because it's a straight port. They've already got the engine over there. So there's that. But I would like to see a 40K game done in that because it's really really the engine for it. You could do just anything you want to do in that engine.
I played so many of those old SSI 40K games.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I like.
I
Well, God, what was the one? It came out. It was Windows 98, and then it wouldn't run in XP. It
Chaos
was
Gate.
yeah, Chaos Gate. Damn, I loved that game.
That was the best
That
one, I think.
well, that's the game that they could make in the Battle Academy engine. They could totally make Chaos Gate again. I loved that game.
Yeah, that was a great
I've
game.
still got the disc. I guess I'd have to build a Windows 98 virtual machine to
Yeah,
run it.
I think that's the only way you can get to run that
Yeah,
game.
too bad, man. Good old games, man. They could do it. Maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that the late '95 and '98 era was really weird for getting
Yeah.
shit to run these days.
Yeah, but do you hear me, Gamersgate? $20. I got $20 in my hand right here.
You mean
Get that
GOG
running. Yeah, or not? Yeah, Gamersgate. Duh. I've
or
been dealing so
GamersGate
much,
too? GamersGate
or
too.
Gamersgate. I'm sorry, I meant GOG. I've been dealing so much with Gamergate BS, not the the consumer revolt Gamergate thing, but the actual website gamersgate.com, the store,
Really?
right? Because well, that other game that I'm dealing with, right,
Right.
which I probably shouldn't promote randomly on the show, but that other game um, is we're pushing version 2 out to Gamersgate
Right.
tonight. So it's been like today has been rebuild the website and update the forum and write the patch notes and trying to update the manual and blah blah blah. So I got a lot of gamersgate.com on the mind.
Ah,
So pardon me.
I'm a huge fan of that site. So
Really, because they're in
I love it. I love it.
they're in Sweden, aren't they?
Something like that. They used to be owned by Paradox many years ago, but then they split. Now they've split off into their own thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You know who works for Paradox these days, right?
Who's
I
that?
found out by just chatting with him. Troy Goodfellow.
Oh yeah, he does
Who's
PR
that?
for the. He does PR for them.
Oh, okay, cool. Because he used to be. Speaking of this other game again, I was talking to Tom Oley over at Evolve PR.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've known Tom since, oh God, long time, like 2000s. Whenever we were going to E3 together and stuff. So super cool dude. Evolve PR, great place, great people. Send them your money, whatever. They're our sponsors tonight, or whatever.
I wish.
So anyway, but super cool guy, and I called him and I was trying to get some advice for what to do, as far as like, oh my God, how do I contact all these press people? Where do I get the, do you guys have a secret email list? What do you do, right? And we talked for about a half hour or whatever, but it was I initially I was trying to get a hold of Tom, but Tom was packing to go on vacation because he was like going to China or something, and
Right.
and then I reached out to Troy and I'm like, hey Troy, I'm trying to get a hold of Tom, but whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't really work there anymore. I was like, what? so
Yeah, he
so that's
did-
how
he-
I found out.
Yeah, he did work there for a while, but now he works for Paradox themselves, I believe.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Slytherin, Buzz Aldrin's Space Program Manager that came out, $30.
Yeah, it did.
So yeah, people are like, they wanted, but it's
It's
the game.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Then there's a demo for Spacecom. Have you played Spacecom?
No, didn't I send you a key for that?
Nope.
I think I did. I'm
Maybe you
pretty
did.
sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
Well,
I
it
did.
looks like it's this game that is played on a map, so it almost looks like Harpoon in space. It's very much like triangles that represent fleets moving
Right.
down lines between solar systems and stuff. Which is what was the game we had the guy on and I had to hook the MacBook up because
Tactical Space Command.
Right. It's kind of like that, but different. But it's in that same vein, I guess. Anyway, so there was that. Oh, let's see. What else? There's something called Ghost Ship.
That's a first-person shooter.
Oh yeah, I remember this thing.
Yeah.
It looks a lot better now. 'Cause,
It does-
boy, when this thing first came out, it didn't look good at all.
It looks pretty cool when you realize that the whole thing was made by one guy.
Oh yeah, nice.
So that is pretty cool. He's been on our forums quite a bit.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, he's a
Um,
good guy.
Deep Eclipse.
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Have you seen this yet?
no.
Yeah, it's called Deep Eclipse: New Space Odyssey. It's the space thriller in the best tradition of the genre. You're the pilot of a space fighter accidentally catapulted into a parallel universe and populated. Isn't this X Beyond the Frontier? And then they're
That's
not happy
another.
to
That's
see you.
another trope. There you go. That's a trope right
Oh
there.
my
That
God, that is. We haven't even got there, and we're doing it. This game looks cool. Actually,
Deep
just looking at the
Eclipse.
yeah, just looking at the static screenshots. There's a movie here. It's crazy, dude. Like every time I look at Steam, there's a new space game. Yeah, this looks kind of interesting. It's like an actiony asteroids kind of. There's momentum to the ship and stuff, and then he's doing a lot of thrust and then drift and shoot behind you, and
Oh,
he's buying parts for his ship and stuff.
Deep Eclipse. Huh?
Yeah, this
Interesting.
this looks kind of cool. It's only $6.
Why don't I know about
Hmm.
this? It sounds Deep Eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
Yeah,
seen
put
that
that
on.
on the wish list.
Oh, I have seen that before. It looks like a shooter.
Yeah, it's a shooter. It's actiony.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I have seen this. I think I've seen it on Desora. I might have it on
Hmm.
Desora.
Hey, so weirdly, I
Ugh.
got a free copy of Space Base DF9. I
What?
don't know why. Yeah, it just like poof, there it is. I don't even
Well,
know why.
if you want,
I
if you want to talk about a trope of early access games being rushed to be finished, and
mhm.
we can talk about that
Mhm.
and Kinetic Void. Really.
Well, there's that, yeah. So, wow, what's this? Robo Wars. This kind of looks it's like Plants vs Zombies with robots. What?
All right.
It's oh, that's kind of interesting. No spaceships in it, but it's got robots. Hey, should we make the announcement about the robots, or are we gonna save that? Maybe
Oh,
we should save that.
well, I was gonna put up a post. We can say something. I was gonna put up a post that about like what I'm gonna work on the site next year. You
Yeah.
know what my like I'm gonna start some new video series and I'm gonna launch a Patreon and stuff like that. But one of the things that Jim and I are gonna work on together is a new sister site for Space Game Junkie called Mech Game Junkie, or is it Mecha Game Junkie?
Mecha Game Junkie, because I
What?
didn't want to exclude Japan. I wanted to do it correctly.
Hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So we're gonna have Mecha Game Junkie, and Jim and I are gonna work on that together, and it's just gonna be kind of like Space Game Junkie is a love letter to space games. Well, Mech Game Junkie is gonna be a love letter to, and it's not gonna be as deep or as comprehensive as Space Game Junkie because one, it can't be. There are nowhere near enough games, but also I don't want to take too much time away from Space
But
Game
you know
Junkie.
what?
But
You'd
both
be
Jim and
shocked
I,
if you go hunt Steam. There's a lot of mech games coming
there are
out,
more mech games coming out, which is
and
good. And the
and
thing is,
they're not all mech games that are like BattleTech, right?
right.
So like Project Nimbus is really cool. It's if you took Ace Combat and you played Ace Combat, right? It's like a very arcadey airplane game.
Oh, yeah, one of them, I
Yeah, what
think.
what was that game we were playing just
Oh,
the other week?
Sky Rogue.
Yeah, Skyrogue. Okay, so take Skyrogue and be in a robot instead of an airplane.
Mm.
And so it's got some Zone of the Enders kind of feel to it
Oh,
because
oh yeah,
you're in a
yeah, yeah.
flying mech.
Either you showed me that, or Knack in the chat room showed me. The one of you guys
Yeah,
showed me
I
that.
I put it up on a stream one day and I was like, check this shit out because it's awesome actually, and it's early access, right? And it was
Right.
like $15, and it's being made by some dudes
Right.
from Taiwan.
So, folks,
So
we might have like a once a month Mech Game Junkie podcast. We're thinking. Um, so yeah, we're gonna just broaden a little bit because that is probably the other thing we both love is mech games, and we could. I get we, but we also love flight sims, but flight sims right now.
yeah, yeah. Because
It's
basically,
really depressing.
yeah, well, basically you have to go to Eagle Dynamics and drink their $60 Kool-Aid every time they drop a claim.
it's, it's unless we're so nichey, we just talk about flight sims from the '90s. That's what we should do. That's all we talk about is flight sims from the '90s. That's the whole
Yeah.
site. That's the whole site. If it was from 1999 to 90 to 99, we'll talk about it. So all the Jane's games and Falcon and all those interactive Magic games.
Yeah,
and
which will eventually be on Steam any damn way. Looking at the
oh
way things
God,
go.
I love that.
Yeah.
I got F14 and I got 117, and they just added Across the Rhine and shit recently. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping
saw
they
that.
add. I'm hoping they add 1492. Yeah, 1942. Yeah, that's a different game.
Oh yeah, 1942
Ah,
European Air War. That was
no,
an
no,
excellent game.
that's Pacific Air War. European Air War is the follow-up.
Oh,
Different
what
game.
was that? 43 then Pacific.
Or something. It didn't have
Yeah,
a year
okay,
in it.
which-
It didn't have a year
whichever.
in it. But yeah, I know what you're talking.
So Pacific Air War was okay, but then the one that came after it was far better because it had 3D acceleration.
I loved them both. Because the Pacific one had an admiral mode where you can command your carrier fleet and then jump in any fighter you wanted. That was
It's just
amazing.
oh my god, going back and trying to play something in 320 by 200 resolution.
I was playing
So
the
painful.
well when TIE Fighter came out. I played the GOG version, which is in that mode, and it's a little tough after coming even down from the 640 by 480 version. It's a little tough.
Yeah. So other crap that has gone on here, and I say crap, Deadlock, Planetary Conquest. That came out on October 23rd.
I love that game.
Really?
Oh yeah, both of them. I own them both on disc and on GOG. I love those.
It ain't getting good reviews at all.
Oh well, it's kind of old school, so today's youth.
Yeah,
and
I heard it
today's
was like super quirky and weird though.
it is quirky and weird. That's why I liked it. It is
Uh,
quirky and weird, but I
okay.
enjoyed it.
So then Sid Meier's Civilization Below Expectations. That's what BE means, right?
Oh no, so many people. It's funny. When Pandora came out, everyone's like, "Oh God, Civilization's gonna beat this," and blah blah blah. Then Civilization comes out and goes, "Hey, what about Pandora?"
Yeah, exactly. When I bought Pandora was 2
Yeah.
days after Below Expectations came out. 'Cause I
Apparently,
was just
Pandora's
like,
pretty good.
yeah, I was just like, this game's not done, and Pandora's had like an expansion and a lot of patches done. Yeah, I think it's time to invest. So, indeed,
I'm hoping on
Oh.
a sale for that one.
let's see.
Speaking of a sale, folks, I don't know if you saw. I haven't posted it on the site yet because I was busy doing something else today. But Matrix Games and Slytherin just launched their big holiday sale today, the 25th. And the game you want to get on that sale is Starships Unlimited version 3. That game is fucking fantastic, and it's $10, and you can play it for years. Years! And never get tired of it. I have played it for years, on and off. There's a video of it on the site that I did a while back when it was on like one of their weekly sales.
So, what kind of game is Starships Unlimited?
It is kind of a 4X, but it's very ship focused. Like, you don't build tons and tons of ships. You build us a small amount of ships that are very valuable and expensive and important. So you have to take real good care of them. And the combat is very tactical. Like, each captain has their own skills, and they do their own maneuvers in combat. And you can have it totally automated, or you can make it manual. And it's just a very, very unique and detailed 4X-y type game with a quirky interface that once you get used to it makes sense, but it's a little quirky at first. But it's so good. It's
Oh,
so
weird.
good. And yeah,
So have you seen Fair Space Genesis? It's an MMORPG in the
Sounds
space.
familiar. I don't know why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. Graphics look okay. Doesn't look great.
For some reason, I know of this game. Why
It's
don't
very
I know?
early access right now.
It sounds familiar.
So, yeah,
So-
it looked interesting. And there was a couple other little minor things that had come
Yeah.
out.
So, folks, lots of stuff on Steam coming out
Yeah.
right now, which is kind of amazing. I can't recommend Kinetic Void right now. I'm sorry. I mean, I played it about a month and half a month ago, just to test it out. Because I'm gonna do this new series where I go into these building games like Kerbal Space Program and just I can't build shit, so I'm just gonna fuck it all up. But it'll be funny. And I toyed around with that for a few minutes. I'm like, this has not changed much since I played it a year ago. And then they release it, and
Yep.
they're getting. I hate to say it. I hate to be negative toward any space game, but they're getting the flack that they deserve for releasing it before it should have been.
So a very interesting thing
Yeah.
about that. Do you follow explorminate.com?
Yeah,
Any?
yeah, he does
Okay.
a lot. He does a lot of promotions. Bless that guy. I can't figure out how to do one, um, like contest, and he does them all the time. So good on
Well,
him.
I noticed like a bunch of the podcasts are, hey, let's sit down and play Star Drive 2.
Yeah, he's doing that tonight. I saw on Twitch,
Yeah. So
like
it's kind
right
of like
now.
I know you have a personal thing with Star Drive, right? But what state is Star Drive actually in now? Is Star Drive 1, because I saw reviews on there and they're like, this is a pretty darn good game.
I
So is
haven't
it
played
done?
it. I don't know. I haven't played it since last summer.
Maybe we need to revisit that then.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind. He's working on the sequel now, so, and we've actually had a request from a listener to bring him on. So we're going to do that once the holidays are over. I'm going to start bringing back guests on once the holidays are over.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that sounds good.
yeah,
I
well,
would like to have him on because, dudes over at Explorminate spend a lot of time with him. So
yeah,
I guess maybe he made good on the first one. So
I hope so. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
definitely have to revisit it. I have to make sure
Hmm.
it's installed.
So
Uh,
I do need to throw while we're talking about Steam, I'm gonna
yeah.
pimp one game. All right, I have no relation to this game whatsoever.
Okay.
I discovered it today.
hmm
It costs $1.79.
But
It's regular $1.99. It's called Instant Dungeon.
oh yeah, no, that's a great game.
It's like Pac-Man the roguelike.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
It's
is.
yeah,
It's great. I got that from like Indie Games Stand like ages ago,
yeah,
and
it's fun.
it's a great little game. And
I
I'm
was like,
waiting
this
for
is
my
too easy, and then I got to like level 15, and it was like, oh god.
and then kicked your
So
fucking ass. Yeah, exactly.
yes,
And now that's a great little game. And I'm waiting for my Steam key. Um, now let me make sure that's installed. Okay, good. I'm gonna install Star Drive and make sure it's installed so we can revisit it this like over the holiday.
okay.
Um,
So the
yeah.
tropes.
Tropes. So, folks, you may wonder why I'm playing a PlayStation 2 game on the stream,
Why are you
and
playing a PlayStation 2
well,
game on the stream?
there are a couple reasons. One, usually when we don't have a specific game to talk about, it's usually just the logo. And I don't want to do that to the people who are actually watching the stream or when are watching the video. It's like they're just going to look at a logo. So I was talking to Knack in the chat room today, and we were talking about how so many tropes come from Star Wars. So many tropes come from Star Wars. So I'd asked if he had played, this game. You told me about this game. You told me about Jedi Starfighter. I got it because of you.
Because it's
I
ridiculous.
did it because of you. No,
That game is
I
ridiculous.
know. I was just
It's
using
so much better though than this
the Starfighter
episode
game.
one
It
Starfighter.
really is. It really is because I mean, what other flight sim space sim lets you also shoot random lightning, which I was just doing at enemies from far away. I love that, by the way.
That is
So
pretty fabulous.
so I'm like, I will stream this tonight because it'll be funny, and I can do it. I'm using an emulator to stream a copy. So there are two reasons. One, because so many tropes come from Star Wars, and two, I didn't want the video to just be a logo the whole time. So I wanted it to be something a little interesting. But tonight we're talking about tropes, and we got a lot to talk about. We got some user submissions, and then we came up with a bunch ourselves. So, do you have the thing up, Jim, so we can go over it?
I certainly do, sir.
All right, let's start with the user submissions. First up, I'm not sure the name of the person who does this Twitter account, but it's the Wing Commander CIC Twitter, and I'm going to be honest, I kind of squeaked a little bit when they tweeted back at me because
Oh, that's cool.
I'm a huge fan of that site. That site's been around forever, and they're amazing at what they do. They kick ass. So when they tweeted back at me, I was like, oh, they know I exist. Oh, I was fanning myself like an old Southern belle. Um, so that was nice. But so I don't know the name of the person who runs that account, but they said Wing Commander has traitors aplenty, trench runs, and the need for player characters to always be in charge of the wing. Well, that's kind of okay. A trench run, very Star Warsy. I
Yeah.
mean, very again with the Star Wars. And there are other games that have done trench runs and things like that. That like Dark Star One has a mission that's pretty much a trench run on a planet. And yeah, Wing Commander's got the trench run.
Hmm.
And then you actually have Alliance, at Wing Commander and Alliance. I mean, X-Wing and Alliance both have their trench runs. You know.
There's actually I'm looking it up right now.
Mm-hmm.
There was an Intellivision game.
What?
An Intellivision game. Yeah, this is it. What was this called? Oh gosh, visit page. Oh damn it! It doesn't have it on here. Crap, crap, crap.
I
It's like
remember
I found the image. Oh, there it is. Star Strike.
Star
For,
Strike.
yes, for the Mattel Intellivision. The entire game is a trench run. This came out in 1981.
Oh,
So I don't know
wow.
what its influence was.
Oh, gee, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Remember the original Wireframe Star Wars game? That like half of it was a trench run.
Yeah, I have a theory about that game. I feel that game was a major part of why the arcades crashed.
Star
Like,
Wars.
right. Yep, I
Okay,
think so
well,
because they would make all these games that weren't Star Wars, but people would play them because they were space games and we could pretend that they were Star Wars. Right? It's like, oh well, I can get that Luke Skywalker fix or whatever. Then Star Wars came out and we actually could fly an X-wing and do that. So I think the popularity of the other space games maybe waned a little bit because this was finally the game that we were trying to play in all the other ones. And then once we
oh.
were bored of that, we were just like, ah, okay, I've had it. So I don't know, but yeah, we need to find a place that's going to have that new Star Wars sit down cockpit thing.
I would be surprised if Dave and Buster's got it. That's the most.
I think they're the target market for it.
Yeah, yeah, that looks pretty awesome. I
Yeah.
played that original way back when.
Yep.
Wh-
So yeah, trench runs,
So
definitely.
trench runs and traders, yeah, lots of games. There are a good chunk of games that have traders in them, like
Yeah.
Wing Commander,
So,
obviously.
well, like the whole Hobbs thing, right?
Yeah,
Calvin and
that
Hobbs.
hurt. That really hurt. Because I mean,
Yeah, I didn't see that coming,
I
man.
I didn't want to see it coming. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people did. I'm sure a lot of people, saw it, like right off the bat. But I didn't want to see it coming. I really liked Hobbs. And didn't Tim Curry voice Hobbs in Wing
I
Commander
believe so,
3?
yeah.
Yeah. That made it harder. Because I'm like, Hobbs, no, you son of a bitch. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of what other games have traders in them. Like, Free Space 2, I guess you could look at Admiral Bosch as a traitor to humanity. Really?
Yeah.
He's a big one. Oh, and the whole Civil War aspect to TIE Fighter. That's kind of a
Oh
big
yeah.
one.
There was, it was kind of like, what
a
was
whole-
the admiral?
Zarin. Admiral
Yeah,
Zarin,
Zarin.
that son of a bitch, yeah. That bastard. Yeah, no, I hate him so much. Hate him so much. So yeah, traders are a decent one. And God, where's some other games with traders in them? There's gotta be some. There's gotta be some.
Yeah. So what were the other tropes that
He also said the player has to be in charge of a wing.
Oh yeah, because you were always right. You're the wing leader.
Yeah, you have to be the wing leader. You have
Yeah.
to be. There's
Because
no other.
because the wingmen weren't smart enough to really do it on their own. The first game where I could actually be a wingman and not the lead was
Yeah.
Falcon 4.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I could drop myself into and because I didn't want the responsibility for having to lead the whole flight, right? So I'll just be the wingman and let the computer, call out targets and tell me what to engage, and I'm good. and I actually enjoyed that more. And also you have to fly formation instead of I am the formation. So interesting. But
Right.
but anyway, yeah, it's a big time thing. You must always be the lead ship, but then again, you always have to be the hero, right? But Luke
Right.
Skywalker was not the lead. He was Red 5.
Yeah, but then he became the lead. He
Well,
was the
through
lead
attrition.
later.
It took about 5 minutes.
Well,
That's
no,
how you
Wedge was
battlefield
still Wedge
promotions.
was still around. That's what killed me is that Wedge was still around.
Yeah, but poor Porkins.
Oh, I know. I
He
miss
never
Porkins.
he never got his
He didn't really get a chance.
no, not so much.
Didn't really get, or the actual Red Leader guy who died sadly pretty fast. And that was upsetting
Yeah.
because everyone liked that guy. Or at least I did. I liked that
So,
guy a lot.
it would be interesting to follow the careers of the guys that were the wingmen in the Star Wars movies and just be like, what other movies were they ever in, if
Well,
any?
the actors you mean? Because I was gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
there is a series of books. There's a series of Red Squadron books
Mm.
that follow Red Squadron. So yeah, I mean you could in the soon to be oh gosh, the soon to be discounted expanded universe or the already discounted
Oh, well, maybe
expanded
the price will
universe.
go up because now it's forbidden fruit because they'll never get reprinted ever.
I don't know if they'll never get reprinted, but I mean, I can't imagine they're not going to sell well.
Yeah.
You know. Oh man, I'm
Mm.
getting my butt kicked. But there are yeah, those are all like the Wing Commandery tropes because the Wing Commander did take a lot from Star Wars. Let's just be honest right
Yeah.
now. But in a
So what
good
else?
way.
What else do we have from readers?
Okay, so the next one we have from I believe your friend Michael Cope. That's your buddy, right?
Oh yeah.
He said he can think of a couple of games where pirate factions where the pirates have their own tech, like Freelancer. Isn't the point of being a pirate so you don't have to develop your own industry and work for the man? Huh.
Well, I guess, but maybe
I,
pirates have the freedom to invent alternate things. I don't know.
well, maybe, but also I think that like I always thought that pirate ships were like discontinued ships or something that like are easy to steal because no one wants them now. You know.
Yeah. Well,
So
what I really like from a pirate aspect is I like their ships whenever they're kind of like cobbled together scrap from other
yeah,
ships.
yeah,
That's really cool
exactly,
because it's like, yeah, they're not out buying new ships, but they could have like some mismatched parts or sometimes their
exactly.
ships look like sheet metal just kind of nailed together.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
that's
I
good
want.
times. And if they can work a big skull into the front of it, so much the better, like Captain Harlock style.
What's Captain
So,
Harlock?
it's an anime.
Ah,
Yeah, they actually did a new anime movie of it last year, maybe 2 years ago.
was it
It
good?
wasn't super great. The animation was spectacular. The problem that it suffered was that it was instead of a lot of ass kicking in the movie, like fleet battles and crap, it was more like let's have this story about you know cataclysm and saving the universe and being the good guys and stuff, right? And not so much like let's just go kick the man's ass, which
Right.
is what I really wanted it to be. But it falls down that thing. Remember the Final Fantasy movie, and we were like, "Fuck yeah, Final Fantasy movie!" And then it's
Mm,
like, "Oh yeah, it's about the Gaia spirits from the other planet, and we just have to help their spirits find peace." And it's just like, "Oh God," because too Japanese for me. Sorry.
that sounds pretty terrible. I never actually saw that movie, so
Uh,
because
well, now you won't.
I've never really played. No, I never was planning
It
on
had
it, but
nothing to do with any Final Fantasy game.
that's what a lot of people told me, and so that made me want to see it even less. Because I think the only Final Fantasy game I have played is Tactics. It's the
Oh,
only Final Fantasy game I played, which was a very good game. by the
Yeah.
way.
So
Oh,
what else we got?
jeez. So that's that, and then we have one more. NAC and IRC today was like the Empire versus the Republic, or the Empire versus colonies, or the Empire versus somebody. And that is a very old trope. I mean, that goes before Star Wars. You know,
Oh yeah,
that's like that's like all over the place. That one. I thought
I
of a
think
game.
it goes clear back to Rome actually. If
Well, I was thinking of the best game that I think does this, and it's an old game called Star Crusader. Do you remember that one at all?
oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, good. Yeah, because you started as like a pilot for this interstellar Roman Empire, basically, and at one point you could like decide, oh, I still want to fly for the Romans, or I could switch sides and
Well,
have a
what
whole.
about Renegade Legion Interceptor?
I
It was
don't.
straight up Romans in space.
I never
I
got
mean,
past. I never got far in that game.
well, there was two, right? There was one that was a board game. It was a quite literal translation of the board game to the computer, and it was kind of good. Um, it- Remember,
Oh, that was the top-down one that came out in the late '80s, right?
yeah, well, early '90s, somewhere in there.
Something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
right. It wasn't bad. And then they came out with the one that was more TIE Fightery, which
Yeah,
honestly I
which
wish I had played more, but I just had such better games at the time.
Yeah, I was the same way because it was a feast back at that point, and so I played a few missions. I was like, there are better games I could play right now. I should revisit it at some point because it apparently wasn't terrible.
Well, the thing that was interesting about the actual game, the board game itself,
Yeah.
was that the spaceships had armor on them. It was kind of like BattleTech, right, where you check off boxes of armor on the mech, but it actually it would be like a rectangle of armor that's like so many squares thick and 10 squares wide. And when you would get hit by certain weapons, they had templates that like a bullet would do. If it was like a penetrating shot, it would do like line. It would do squares in a straight line.
Oh,
But if it was an explosive shell, it would kind of knock a crater out of your armor
ooh, I like that.
and that kind of thing. Oh yeah, it was. It was. I've never seen a game since that was like that. And they also did a Renegade Legion. It was a tank game. It was hover tanks, and it was the
Really?
same system. Oh yeah, that game was hella fun.
Was a
Good
board that
times.
was a board game or a computer
Yep.
game?
Yeah, it was a
Ah,
board game. I wish it had been a computer game.
that sounds pretty great, actually.
Yeah. So, yep, it was like Micro Armor or Firefly or one of those tabletop tank games, except instead of World War II, it was freaking hover tanks, and it had this really cool armor mechanic. Because when you'd punch through the armor, then you'd start rolling internal things and find out what systems went down and stuff. So it was very very detailed about what you broke. And in fact, in the fighter game, there was like a wiring diagram flow chart that was the damage for the
Oh
inside
God,
of the
that's
ship.
great. That's great.
Yeah, it was crazy. So it would be like, okay, well, I killed this thing. All right, I got a 50-50 chance to kill this or that. As it like blasts through the ship. Yeah, it was really. Now I want to play it again. Damn it. So anyway, all right. So that's all. That's all the people tropes.
Those
right?
are all the user suggested tropes. I mean, the Empire one was pretty good. It kind of makes you want to play Star Crusader again. That was
Yeah.
such a good fucking game.
It felt very British. I think it was.
It was. I forget the name of the developer, but the publisher was Game Tech, and I believe they were British,
Hmm.
if I
Okay.
recall. But that's all. That's all I remember, really.
Okay, so the list that we came up with.
Yeah, the list that
all
we
right?
came up with.
So the first one that struck me, because when we were looking at Rebel Galaxy with
Oh
the
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
was the whole like, yeah, the spaceship that you got from a relative, and then it's like your mom's secret base because she was whatever, And I'm like, okay, it's the family heirloom trope
That's
because
true.
this is your father's lightsaber. He wanted you to have it.
Yeah, Rebel
when you were old
Galaxy does
enough.
that. God, what was the game recently we played? Oh, Independence War 2, derp.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, your grandma was a space pirate.
Yeah.
And here's her base.
Papa
and
was a
her
Rolling
ship.
Stone. Grandpa was
Yeah,
a space.
exactly.
Grandma was a space pirate.
Okay, so then we also had the prototype spaceship,
Oh
right?
God,
Which
like Dark Star One
yeah,
or
like Dark Star One, or
the
in Nexus, the
Skunk.
Jupiter incident,
Oh
the whenever
yeah,
the alien ship shows up, and then it's just like, why have anything else? My God, it's like
exactly.
the alien super ship,
Well, the
right?
thing is, it doesn't even have to be a prototype ship. Like Privateer had that alien gun, that prototype slash alien gun that could kill anything. Remember
Yeah,
that? Once you got that, you were pretty much
I mean the one they took away
unstoppable.
from you in the expansion.
Oh
You tried.
God, yes. Oh, kill me now. Oh, that was so sad. I love that gun so bad.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the deal, right? Is we need to have some way for the player to be godlike. So let's give him an alien
For a
prototype
little
ship.
while. For a little
Yeah,
while. Not all. Not the whole time, but for a little while.
yeah. You know, a ship type that we do not see
What's that?
hardly ever. Like
What's
I can
that?
think of like one game is a saucer. You don't see the like classic flying saucer type ship.
Star Control.
That's the one that I was thinking of.
And oh, the UFO game. Remember UFO?
Um,
That's it though.
yeah. Well,
That's
okay.
really it.
So there was like a flight simulator UFO game where you flew around and abducted people.
That's what I was talking about. That's
Okay, and then
UFO.
there was another one that never came out, but I ended up with a beta copy of it once, and this was like back in
Yeah.
the late '90s or so,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
were you were actually flying a UFO that you had stolen from Area 51, and the Air Force was
Right.
trying to shoot you down and shit. The control scheme on that was brilliant because the ship would go in any direction, and it had no momentum or anything. It was just like it would drift until you hit a key, and then it would go like hell in the direction the camera was pointed,
Yeah,
and that was great.
the one I was thinking of came out from Sublogic. It was like polygonal wireframe-ish graphics in the late 80s. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I don't think it was a saucer. It was like some kind of other UFO. It was a weirdly shaped thing. But
It was like a polygonal saucer. It wasn't completely
yeah,
round. It wasn't
I
completely
I
round.
if you think you've seen Forbidden Planet, right?
Long time ago.
Okay, so the interesting thing about Forbidden Planet and Lost in Space
Yeah.
was that humans arrived at the 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 shape of ship that will fly through space, interstellar, happens to be the classic saucer,
Right.
right? And I think that that is something that should come up more in science fiction. Is like, oh yeah, the aliens do it that way because that's what works. There's a reason that the ship is shaped like a saucer.
Right.
So when humans actually develop faster than light travel, well, it's a saucer because that's what works. you know, it's the most compact form to put, whatever kind of crazy gyro whatever the hell is in there, right? Like maybe if you make it like a triangle or a cube, it just doesn't work as well.
Let's see. There are ships with like saucer-based designs,
Well, like
like
Star Trekky.
Star Trek, obviously, but also the Dreadnought from the first Independence War. The middle of that was very saucer-like, if you
Okay.
recall. So
I
it,
don't think that I ever got that. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Right. So the ship that you had, that
yeah, yeah,
Dreadnought,
yeah. You're the
I was
player
thinking
ship.
like some advanced thing. Yeah. Well, the reason that it was shaped like that was actually the reactor because
Yeah.
it had a ring. The it was sort of like a ring accelerator
Yep.
in the ship, and it gave an actual reason. Like this is why it's got a big saucer section in the middle.
Which I loved. And then
Yeah. It was.
they built the crew pods around that, which could be ejected, which I loved.
Yeah. So that was kind of neat. Um, Okay, I would say the next trope is probably, well, there's two in a row. They're both heinous,
The,
but
the
I think the first one, cargo inspection.
uh, I swear to God, I mean, the LucasArts games are the most guilty of this. They totally are. Cause I swear to God, I brought Nicole in, my girlfriend, for like maybe this will be funny if she watches me play TIE Fighter and like she knows nothing about these games, so maybe it'll be enjoyable. And like it was a fucking like inspect everything and shoot like three things. I'm like, fuck you, game. Thanks. That's great. That's exactly what I wanted. It's just to inspect a bunch of shit. That's so exciting. And then like every time you'd see that guy with the hood or whatever, he always like inspect this shuttle, inspect these cargo containers, inspect that Star Destroyer. It's like, fuck you, man. You don't got probes or whatever. Why do I gotta do it?
I know, right? It's like it's stupid. That's something for a droid to do.
Exactly.
Like,
Why do I gotta do
but
this
I
shit?
guess it's a thing of like we're gonna have you out here for a little while and give you something to do to distract you. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
bad things are gonna jump in
Yeah,
and
bad-
start killing your dudes.
Bad things
Or
are gonna
something.
happen, and you could like ignore the bad things and go and inspect that little cargo container over there or that shuttle, or you could, focus on shooting down everything that's shooting at you.
Yeah.
It's so fucking. I'm trying to think of other games that are as grievous with that as like the LucasArts games.
LucasArts games are definitely the top of it, although you did get some in free space.
Oh, a little bit in the very beginning. You did get a little bit of that, but thankfully not
Yeah.
much. Thankfully, it was like
And more
one.
so in Free Space 1 than 2.
Yeah, thankfully in Free Space 2, it was like maybe one or two missions that were like scan this, and that was really kind of it. I mean, I think there might have been a clandestine one where you had to scan one too, but
Well, the big one in Free Space 2 is at the very beginning, because it's like, go scan that asteroid, and then the asteroid splits and a big battleship comes out of it.
yeah, it's
And it's
yeah,
like, oh
it's-
yeah, you had to be in position for that one, right? So,
yeah.
okay, so, but good God, the LucasArts games, so much cargo inspection.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so,
like really.
so much.
Why do you?
And the worst was, of course, X-wing Alliance,
oh yeah,
because
here
you're in a slug.
spend
trying
10 or 15 minutes in a Y 1300, not even a modified cool one, just a sluggy, slow YT 1300, going around scanning like 50, 80,000 cargo containers. And then 10 minutes in, someone's going to jump in and shoot at you, and if you die, you have to do it all over again. That was great.
Yes. So fabulous.
So
All right.
great.
And then the next thing that makes you lose and restart missions is escort missions.
Hate it so much. I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. I mean, if you're a military pilot, you're going to have to escort freighters sometimes, and you're going to have to escort, bombers sometimes.
Right. That's kind of what they do, right? Like,
But it's so, like, annoying that they do that. It feels like they do it a little too much.
a bit. It's a trope.
It is. It's
There it is.
it is. It feels like it's lazy. Like, oh, we're gonna throw in an escort mission. I like what Ethereum does with escort missions in that you have a target you're protecting, and anything attacking that target turns like bright purple in your HUD. That's a nice little usability feature that I wish we saw more of. I mean, Free Space 2 has the escort list, which help, but you still have to hit escort and then another button to see who's attacking, whatever. You can't just like glance at your HUD and see the colors. So that's one thing Ethereum got very right, I think. And I also like that, what bugs me about escort missions the most is that the ship you're escorting, they never have teeth. They never have teeth of their own. They're all
Yeah,
like,
it can't defend itself.
put a fucking turret on that. I mean, what if you couldn't get some fighters? What if we were all busy? I mean, what if we had to do, what is that? An alert? What, a scramble? What is
Yeah.
that? A scramble mission where like the carrier's under attack, we all have to scramble and get out there and defend it. Oh, we can't do our scheduled freighter escort mission. The freighter is either gonna have to sit where it is, or it's gonna have to fucking go on its own.
Yeah, what would be interesting would be if freighters actually traveled in groups, like bombers in World War II,
Why
where
not?
they fly in a formation so that if fighters come in, it's like they're not really heavily armed, but they've all got some turrets. And you get overlapping
Yeah.
fire, and you definitely don't want to come in there. That's how I would do it.
No, I'm with you, man. I mean, that makes complete and utter sense. Yet don't think I've seen one game ever do that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it makes sense that a freighter would like hire a few guys to man a turret.
Yep.
You know, put like 4 or 8 turrets on that thing and hire a bunch of guys to man them. And I mean, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Jesus.
And I think the absolute worst game for escort missions is God, Privateer 2.
Oh,
It's like you're on an escort mission, that's your job, and then you can't leave until all the pirates are dead.
No, actually, that makes it even worse. You know why Privateer 2
That's
makes it even worse?
No, well, I was saying that makes it terrible.
Well,
Like,
it even gets worse than that, is what I'm saying. Because to transport, if you want to do any trading on your own, you have to hire a cargo hauler and escort that from your launch point to your destination. So basically, you're creating your own escort mission.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's awful. Like
Wow.
who is the person who hated us who thought of that idea?
Just say no.
There's no
I mean,
other way.
really.
Your ship has no cargo capability. You only fly fighters, and so if you get jumped by a few fighters, you might lose your cargo guy if you can't take them out. Especially if there's like one of those heavily armed shuttle things, and you can't jump and you can't run away, so you're fucked. It's there's so many bad design decisions in that game.
Yeah, count me out. I'm never playing that. Okay, so another thing that's wing commandery, and well, Star Wars as well. The insane admiral trope, right?
Yeah.
So we had crazy ass Tolwyn, and
Which is so sad because I love Malcolm McDowell,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, okay, so maybe a little crazy, but was he maybe he was his own hero, right? So I mean, did he finally just go completely irredeemable batshit, or was he actually thinking like, okay, what I'm doing is actually for the greater good? It's just that the hero happens to disagree with my methods.
That's that one. He
Yeah.
thought what he was doing was for the greater good of the Confederation by keeping its edge sharp. Keeping the edge of the knife sharp.
Right, which is better than, hey, we're gonna throw everybody's lives away because I'm chasing the white whale.
Right.
He didn't go full Ahab, so okay, but really, Ahab from Moby Dick is the inspiration for the classic crazy admiral.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
where it's
true.
just like, and anyone is expendable in the pursuit of my momentary goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Tolwyn believed what he was doing was helping the Confederation, but people were dying left and right because of what he was doing. But he didn't see a problem with that, so that's where he lost it.
Mm.
And then he hung himself after he was convicted, which is so sad. So
Yep.
so sad. What am I doing?
So, the other stuff, right? Like savior of the galaxy, and this is not just a trope that goes down in this kind of game, but it's also just criminally terrible in RPGs in general. Any kind of computer story, but you get it the worst in RPGs. Like Dragon Age just came out. Hope saving the world.
Oh,
Who
yeah.
knew?
Aren't JRPGs like the worst for that?
Yeah,
You're like
they
a 16
kinda are.
you're like a 16-year-old kid and you have to save the world.
Right. I
Something
kind of
like
like
that.
the in the 50s, right, when we would have like Invasion of the Saucer Men. It was like, well, the high school kids know what's going on, but they can't get the adults to listen to them until it's damn near too late.
Oh
you know?
God, I know. Yeah.
It's almost like Lassie's barking, Timmy's down the well, and nobody will listen to her. It's the yeah.
I mean,
That
you
kind of
got you got to say that I think Buffy turned that trope on its tail fairly well. I think
How so?
because everyone was like in the dark. It was just a few kids, that like knew what the hell was going on, like the Slayer and the Scooby Gang, and then even the kids were like, what the hell, ignoring what the hell was going on. So it wasn't like just the stupid adults, which I enjoyed, which
Yeah.
I did
Well,
enjoy that.
I don't know. I just watched it for Allison Hannigan. If she wasn't there, I really wasn't paying any attention.
Oh
So,
well, I can't
eh,
blame you. I can't blame you on that.
yeah.
She's
Well,
very cute. You know she
yep.
married. You know she married one of the actors from the show, right?
No.
Oh yeah, she
No.
married the guy the Wesley
Xander.
Wesley.
Oh.
She married
Okay.
Wesley. Uh,
Interesting.
well,
So
he's a handsome fella.
yeah. Well, I've seen her on like How I Met Your Mother and
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, interesting. She still kind of looks the same.
Oh yeah,
She's aged a little, but not. She
ba-
matured. She did not age.
yeah
That's the deal.
she is barely changed. She is like
Yeah.
barely changed. And this is after at least one kid. Kind of
Yep.
crazy. Kind
So
of crazy.
so let's see. The Space Pirate Biker Gang.
I just ran into one of those in another game, I think. What game was that? Void Expanse, I think, where there's kind of a biker gang thing.
Oh.
What game were you thinking of where this trope came from?
Um, just in general, it was like every time there's space pirates, they're always like, leather and spikes and R. but they're more a biker gang than pirates, really. Because
Yeah.
I guess that's the dystopian future version of pirates, right? Is more like Road Warrior.
Oh, well, those are amazing.
Yeah,
Those pirates
but
were great.
it's basically like Road Warrior in space.
That's true.
That's kind of what I had in mind there. And if you look back in, well, just the amazing abundance of space pirates. Like they never run out of newbie space pirates that are very easy to kill. It's almost like we need something to fight. Space pirates.
Yeah.
They're the zombies of space, if you will.
That's true. Like most games, like the space pirates are kind of stupid and not really much of a threat.
Yep.
That's kind of why I liked Independence War a little bit, because you had those rebel space piratey guys who actually were fairly intelligent.
Yeah.
They knew to capture ships and stuff like that, and they did a very good job of it. Ooh, what the hell? So, but yeah, pirates. I mean, and there aren't a lot of games that focus on being pirates either. I mean, a lot of games have pirates, but either it's a choice you can do, or that's pretty much it.
Right.
Or it's a choice, or it's just someone you fight against. That's really it. That's why Independence War 2 is so good.
Yeah, because they actually had a little something going on. So, okay, so the precursor race,
Oh
right?
God, yeah.
It's always like, well, this advanced technology is here. Like, who built the Stargates? Well,
Yeah.
the ancient race that's gone now. They left some artifacts laying around, some pyramids,
Right.
whatever. Because it gives you treasure to discover, right?
You know the best
In
game for
previously
that?
unexplored, huh?
You know the best game for that? I'm gonna spoil Starflight for a lot of people, but you know what? A lot of people aren't gonna be playing a 30-year-old game, so that's fine. So you play Starflight, and when you start playing Starflight, you're like, "Oh, I got this fuel," that's called Endurium. And it's you can mine it on these planets. You find it wherever, and so you're flying around. You hear all this talk about the ancients, the ancients, the ancients. All this fascinating technology with the ancients, and then you come to find out Endurium are the ancients, and you've been burning them for fuel the whole time. And
Is it like they're like dinosaurs and we're burning them like gasoline or
no, it's like they're like they became sentient somehow, but I forget how they did it. And it's the amazing thing about that game is like it's not even like in a big cutscene or anything. It's just like some text you find on a planet, and you're like, oh, the ancients have become Endurium, and you're like, holy shit, what?
so the ancients were like bacteria. or something, right?
Yeah, something like that, and you're killing them left and right. And the sad thing is, you have to keep killing them to finish the game, to save everybody else.
Huh.
Which is the it's I've never seen a twist in like that in a game since, honestly.
That's pretty awesome.
So that's one of the best uses I think of that like kind of ancients trope is oh yeah, by the way, you're killing the ancients. You're using them for fuel. You son of a bitch. And you have to keep using them or else everyone will die. That's great. So, but yeah, I was playing a game the other day called The Precursors, which is like I think focused around that very thing. And doesn't Star Control 2 like really focus hard on the precursors
Oh
or the
yeah.
ancient race as well?
Well, that yeah, kind of. So, by the way, speaking of Star Control 2, we're still not done with news. I saw an article today where they're doing another reboot. It's an HD reboot of Urquan Masters.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's great.
Yeah,
It's a
that is
fork.
pretty
It's,
neat.
it's a fork apparently of the original one. Um, it's a fork where they made all the textures and everything high def instead of the low def textures low def standard def I don't know low
Yeah.
def standard def textures they've been doing, and it looks pretty nice. I'm definitely gonna have to play it because the Urquan Masters is pretty awesome. I love that they keep working on that thing.
Yeah. It's well, it's a dang good game.
Yeah,
So it would be nice to just see it brought to, modernness.
well,
Other
isn't
funny thing that I saw today
isn't
was
Stardock doing a new one?
I don't know. I mean, I know they're doing the Gal Civ 3,
Well, no,
but
I think they're doing an actual new Star Control.
weird.
Yeah, I know.
Huh. Nope, wasn't aware of that. So interesting though. I think they could do a Starflight game in their universe, right? Like if you were the first ship that went out and discovered all the aliens or whatever, they could use their existing races and make a Starflight game. You just get one ship. It's like playing Gal Civ 3, but you have one ship. Don't get killed. So yeah,
Make it a roguelike,
exactly. Yeah.
like Weird Worlds or something.
Yeah, well, I guess Weird Worlds does kind of have that covered, doesn't it? But
A little
yeah.
bit, yeah.
Okay, so Precursor, the game that was really intense with Precursor Race was Mass Effect.
Oh,
Wow,
really?
the entire game is about the Precursor Race and the lessons that they were trying to tell us that we failed to decipher in time. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, in the very first game, and that's what's so brilliant about the thing was they had precursor artifacts and stuff, and you find one the first mission of the first game, and you touch it, and you have like this reality bending vision, right, where you just like mind meld with this thing, and you have like these crazy, like just weird visions, right, and none of it makes any sense
Right.
until about halfway through the second game. And then it's like, oh. Well, I mean, they kind of get into it in the first game, but they don't lay it all out until about halfway through the second, and then you know who the precursors were. And then it's like, oh. Yeah. So, indeed. And then the third game goes even further because you get one in your crew. He's the last of them. He was like in hyper sleep, and you wake him. Well, you have a chance to wake him up.
Oh, what
And,
happens if you don't?
Well, he just doesn't, right?
Oh,
But it's like obviously I'm gonna like reload my save until I get him, right? So, yeah. But he's the last of the precursors, and he's a pretty interesting character to have around. I didn't use him in combat a lot, but he was cool for conversations, though. But yeah, and they do a lot of flashback because he explains, like what happened, and it's like the last time the cataclysm came, he was there, he saw it, and they just managed to like bury enough people to survive or try to, and they managed to have one guy live. So, so he's like, and as fate would have it, he's woken up when the bad stuff is happening again. So he's in the right place at the right time to finally give the message. But it's like, oh well, if you guys would have known this maybe 100 years ago, whatever. But yeah, but fun game, precursors. All right, so my other one is it's a problem I have in general with real-time strategy games.
Yeah.
And also in space, right? Like, how long does it take to make a ship? Apparently, 30 seconds.
Mm.
And I can just keep pooping out ships from my starbase state, right? Sins of the Solar Empire style. Just keep
I see what
cranking
you're
out
saying.
dudes. It's almost like I have a nanite printer, and I'm just like pooping ships. Right? Wow. I think like a naval ship takes years in dry
Years.
dock to
Oh,
build.
years. Absolutely years. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So,
But this
so
is
it's not a.
this is the future, man. We got more advanced doodads and things
guess.
to build ships faster. No, I see what you're saying though. Ships should feel weighty and powerful and meaningful. And not just
Well, it's like Pearl Harbor, right? The Japanese blew up our whole frickin' fleet, and then we had to scramble to make more boats.
yeah.
So how quick can we make boats? Right? That kind of is a lesson about that. Like you can, if you totally go like into a total war economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make some boats, but it's people don't just have that laying around. It takes a little while to spin up to it. I'd have to look at the history. And now I'm very interested. Like, how long did it take before we could engage in the Pacific?
Well, because they didn't hit our carrier fleet, thank God, it wasn't probably as long as it could have been.
Yeah, but all our battleships were toast.
Yeah, but that's the funny thing about that is because all the battleships were toast, they became secondary to the carrier. So
Yeah, so it was a carrier war for sure.
it's just kind of
So
funny. It's just kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Like, oh, 2 minutes, here's a ship. I mean, in game
yep.
time, what is it, a month or two? I mean, that does seem a bit quick. I mean, now think about it though. We've got 3D printers now. That can print guns and things in like in hours, maybe minutes. Think about if we had like 3D printers on a grand scale, hundreds of years from now, that could just like blah, 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 ship.
Yeah. Well, it was like, was it Total Annihilation? Right, where you'd build the factories and you'd actually see the nanite printers actually building your units. So that was kind of interesting.
Oh
So
yeah, that was cool. You'd like see them kind of assemble slowly
yeah.
as the nanites built them. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But I
Mm.
see what you're saying. Yeah, and RTS games are very guilty of that, especially spaceship ones. Because, like, you train a guy or you build a fucking Jeep with a gun on it. Yeah, that can't take a hell of a long time. But an entire spaceship with turrets and warp drives and shit?
Mm.
Like, how long did the Enterprise take to build?
Quite some time.
While?
Hmm.
Few years, at least? Yeah.
So
I see what you're saying.
So tied into what I said about the precursor race,
Yeah.
I didn't notice that this was a, so the trope of, yeah, I was a popsicle for 100 years in a cryotube, and now I'm awake and I have to save the universe. Right on
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I ran into that recently with that game called Dangerous, which is exactly what happens.
Hmm.
Basically, you get, I don't remember what the crime is. I don't even know if they tell you, but you get you get renamed as Dangerous, so everyone knows you're dangerous. Your character's name is actually Dangerous, and then you get like cryo frozen for 100 years. But oh my God, they need you. So yeah, and I think there are other games that do that too. Like Independence War did that a little bit. I don't think it was 100 years, but remember Jefferson Clay, who
Oh
was
yeah.
like asleep as an AI for however long, and then they woke his ass up, and he was
Yep.
pissed. He was pissed, and
Well,
rightfully so.
well, not only the cryotube thing, but the other thing that a lot of games do is the whole you're the amnesiac
Oh
hero.
yeah, like
All right.
freelancer.
Yeah, it's like I have
Yeah.
no idea why
Or
I'm whatever.
privateer too, for God's sakes.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
I mean, at least in Independence War 2, you were kind of clueless because you were a kid, right? And you went to prison for like 15 years, and
Right.
then you get busted out. So it's kind of like, yeah,
Wow.
you're an adult, but you're clueless, sort of. So, you know, um, so that also ties in with the next one, which is the whole ragtag slash Lost Fleet. Because in the book, The Lost Fleet, that's kind of how they got their captain, was because he was a hero that was a popsicle, and what was it, like 1,000 years or something
No, a
later that he
few
woke
hundred,
up?
like 300, like 100, 200, something like that. Like a
Yeah,
while.
it was some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but you see how all these tropes are starting to combine into like super tropes now. So, and we just talked about World War II and the stealing of World War II settings. All right.
Well, fuck you, Star Wars. Thank you for ruining everything,
Well,
George
because
Lucas.
starfighters, uh, that
This is probably the
honestly,
biggest one. This is probably
it's
the
huge
biggest one.
because the entire uh, vision of physics in space is
Physics?
shot to shit
Whoa, 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 whoa,
because
whoa. What are you talking
because
about?
physics. I know, right? So the whole way that starships fight is like World War II airplanes, the starfighters.
Yeah, because
That's
because George Lucas loved the movie The Dam Busters, apparently, and
yep.
took a lot of shit
Big
from
red
that.
tails.
Yeah, it took like, I don't know if it was frame for frame, but there were a lot of similarities apparently from what I've seen between the Dam Busters and like the first battle, the big Death Star battle in Star
Yep.
Wars.
So the back to the ragtag fleet thing a little bit though.
Yeah,
So
sure.
okay, so we had Homeworld. I think Homeworld is the
Oh yeah,
king.
yeah, yeah. That's
That
probably the pinnacle of the Ragtag Fleet space game.
Yeah, because of course Battlestar Galactica, I think invented that shit, and it's
Hmm.
been a good go-to ever since. There was a game called Epic that was back on the Amiga.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
That was Ocean. Was that
Yeah,
Ocean?
Ocean made
Yeah,
it. That
yeah.
also it was Battlestar Galactica style thing.
Vaguely remember that. And it's kind of funny because Gene Roddenberry envisioned Star Trek as a wagon train to the stars, but it was only one ship.
Hmm.
So Battlestar Galactica, I loved how it kind of expanded on that idea. And made it this much bigger thing, which is pretty awesome.
Hmm. So, and I guess the last one is about bombers because they treat bombers
Uh,
like fighters. They're just slow and heavily
I
armored.
know. I hate that. I mean, I love I'm a big fan of bombers. The B-17 is my favorite bomber. I do love that thing, and I do love the B-52 as well. Um,
But
but yeah,
they're more like a heavy attack craft and not so much a bomber.
yeah, it's exactly right. They're like a
It's the IL-2 of space.
yeah, or the P-47 or the A-10 of space, rather that just happens to have bombs, or the A-1 Skyraider, which is probably one of my all-time favorites. It's just basically that with a bunch of bombs on it. It's not
Yeah.
a.
By the way,
It's
I
not.
have a book to give you. It's specifically about guys that flew A1 Sky Raiders in
Which
Vietnam.
I
It's an
I might
excellent book.
I might have it. We'll talk about that after the show because I do have this one book about the Skyraider that is
Okay.
at it, but it covers its whole lifespan. So it
Well,
might be it
this
might
is
be a
just a
different book.
dude. He
Oh,
went to he like went to Thailand, and then they were based out of there, and they were flying over into Cambodia
oh,
and bombing stuff. So it was like a CIA secret air war thing. So yeah. But anyway, I'll show you that later.
yeah, that
But
sounds
yeah,
awesome.
so that's pretty much the deal.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I think my favorite all-time bomber was the broadsword from Wing Commander 2 because that thing was a big slug and it felt like a bomber. It had a turret on it. It flew like shit. You know, it felt more like a bomber than a lot of any other bomber I can think of in space gaming. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what the fuck is a TIE bomber? A TIE bomber is a TIE fighter with another
It's
like
just got a big rocket pod
it's
on
like
it.
it's got another fuselage on it that shoots rockets. That's basically what that fucking thing is. That's all it is. It's not. It's a TIE attack craft, like you said. It's not
Yeah.
really a bomber. I mean, I guess it
Yep.
could be. It is there's that one scene in Empire where it's bombing shit on the asteroid,
Mm.
but you never do that in the games. You
So you know
never
where
do that in the games.
bombers were, it's almost like a torpedo bomber.
Yeah, like a
Would be
dive bomber.
more. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, not even so much a dive bomber, but a torpedo bomber from the Pacific,
yeah. No,
right?
that's a very good
Because
analogy.
you have one shot. You're a delivery mechanism for a torpedo, and you have to get like really low and the right speed and perfectly flat, and just let that thing slip into the water, you know. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's a thing I think with the space games that maybe you should have a tighter launch profile for your ordnance. Like it forces you. You have to hold target, stay in a straight line, be very vulnerable till, and they kind of do that with like missile lock times and stuff.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
So, but it's basically like the more powerful the missile, the longer it takes to lock. It seems to be the deal.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's like
but
what?
I like the bombers in Free Space too. Actually, they had
Yeah,
like the big Kodiaks and stuff, and
yeah
those
they're
things were huge.
yeah they're more like actual like World War II bombery things, and like even the torpedoes. Like I didn't know I was supposed to do this, but apparently, like remember the dive bombers, you had to really go fast because the bombs used your momentum and your speed to help push them to the target. Well,
Oh,
I didn't know that Free Space 2 had a bomber with torpedoes that did the exact same thing.
oh, so you turn on your afterburners and
Yeah,
then
you
let the
gotta
bomb go.
yeah, you gotta gun it and then let the bomb go. I didn't know that until after I failed the mission and it told me. It's like, oh,
Oh,
that's great. Thanks.
that
Thanks,
is
guys.
kind of neat.
It is neat. Yes, it is neat. I like that because that's more kind of what we're used to. But again, World War II in space. God damn it, fucking Star Wars.
Exactly. World War II in space. Speaking of,
Hmm.
the game that I want. Okay, I've put this appeal out to the hashtag game dev on Twitter,
Yeah,
and I'm like, please, please, somebody make this.
yeah.
I want silent service in space. I want it to
It
be
just makes sense. It just makes
because you
sense.
could do well. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense because we've talked about how do you hide a ship? What's
Yeah,
stealth like,
yeah.
right? And it's tough. So what would you do that is the space equivalent of submerging a submarine? It would have to be a cloak, right?
Hmm.
Or you could do some weird kind of Star Trekky thing where you actually kind of submerge under the fabric of the universe, right? Like a pocket dimension or something where you can't go very fast, and if you go too fast, you kind of leave a wake in space, right?
Yeah,
Like a ripple, and the sensors will pick it up. Which would also be like if you launch torpedoes, they'll see like a torpedo wake coming or something before the torpedo actually like pops out into real space
right.
and hits them. So but I was thinking like, okay, the way to do this is to do it anime style, right? Because
Hmm.
when it's anime, it's some Star Blazers bullshit, and you can
Right.
get away with anything because Star Blazers is a fucking battleship in space,
Right. It's
like
yeah. It's exactly
literal
what it is.
battleship in space.
Literal. It's the
So
Yamato. It is the
yeah,
Yamato. It's they're
yeah.
not even
So
mincing words. It's the fucking Yamato. They're not even playing around. It's
so I say let's embrace the stupid and actually make a submarine game in space. Don't try to justify shit. Just kind of wave hands a little bit and be like, yeah, whatever. You know,
Well, we should talk about this
cloaking
because
field or something. Because, dude, okay, the way that I would do this is, have you played the Silent Hunter games at all?
silent. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Submarine, your Germans or whatever.
I love
Okay,
the third one.
so
That might be my favorite.
yeah, so there's a lot of crew management, right?
Yeah,
And the ship is very small. And I would think, well, if you're going to have a ship that is either going to be cloaked at great power, because the other part of the trope with submarines is you can only stay down for so long. You have to surface, right? And you get caught when you're surfaced, and you have to like come up to recharge or whatever. But you can go a lot faster when you're on the surface too, and you
right.
can fire at shit with your deck guns that you can't do when you're underwater. So there's like all these things that would be metaphors to something you do in space,
Right.
right? That would be a reason, like, we're in some condition where we can't fire guns, but we could surface and fire the guns, but they're not the best guns, right? But if it's a merchant ship or something, yeah, you can just surface and gun the shit out of it because it can't shoot back, right?
Right.
But stuff like that. But I'm thinking, okay, so it's got to be a small ship, right? So I'm thinking like a World War II sub. It's basically a hallway with bunks and machines and workstations, right? And a torpedo room at the front, and like a conning tower where the captain can be with his maps and his periscope. Because let's say you're cloaked or whatever, you don't have sensors either, right? Because cloak, so you can risk sticking a periscope up out of that because they're not going to spot that. So that gives you your optics, where you can plan your attack. Yeah, I was 20 some hours in the car this weekend. I had a lot of time to think about space submarines, and I kind of overthought the thing. I've kind of got the game half designed right now.
Well, in a
So
couple of weeks, we're doing. We're going to talk about capital ships in space games,
okay,
and so we
sweet.
can definitely talk more about that topic then.
Yeah, because really, the most cost-effective way to smoke capital ships or just merchant shipping really in space would be a small stealth, not fighter. It would be like a frigate that was stealthed,
Yeah, it would have
because
to
then
mask its
you
heat
could
and
just
everything.
you could
Yeah.
just uncloak and fuck some merchants up and then cloak again and be gone, and you could just take down the shipping lanes, much like World War II, where it was just like anything getting shipped into Europe was through. So yeah, it would, wolf pack of the stars,
Yeah, why not?
whatever you want to call it.
Why the fuck
and
not? Yeah.
and I would say, like, let's do it cell shaded, right? And I want the periscope view to be like as much like a periscope on a ship. Just make it a unashamed, non-apologetic submarine fucking game.
Yeah, why not? Why the hell not? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, just take a submarine game and put it in space instead of the ocean.
dude, I
And
even
it's
figured
got it.
out how to do depth charges in space and why.
Oh, we'll save that. Save that
Yeah,
because
like,
I
okay,
love it. I love it. Let's save that for that topic. But that's in 2 weeks, guys. In a week, it's time, Jim. We've been putting it off, but it's
oh
time we
no, not
finally
the Bridge
do.
Commander.
It's this is your idea. This is
It was a
your
bad
idea.
idea. Bad.
But people want it. People have actually asked me if we could talk about Bridge Commander. So that's what we're going to do next week, folks. We're going to try and get multiplayer going with that. Apparently, there's a way to do it where
Yeah, I was.
even with GameSpy shut off, apparently there's a way to do it now. So we're going to try that. But so next
I
week,
would like. I would like some of the people who requested us to do it to show up, because I want to hear what other people have to say about that game. Because I
yeah.
really don't have a wealth of things to say about it.
Well, that's why we got to toy with it over the next week. We got to play it and try it out and
Yeah, I
do
don't know.
some
I
of
always
the.
get to the same point. Like the first time you have to fight Cardassians, I'm just like, because Kim's got that big booty, and
Wrong. No. See, the thing is, it's not Gul Dukat. So, I mean, why would I want to fight any
Oh,
other Cardassian besides Gul Dukat?
I'd fight Kim Kardashian
Oh, God.
because she's got whatever.
They need to make that reality show, the Cardassians. That's what they need
I know,
to.
right?
I mean,
Oh
there's
God, and it could really be like Star Trek reality show. Meet the Kardashians.
because you don't see a lot of Cardassian females. You really don't. I mean, there was Dukat's daughter, and there was that one captain chick in that Next Generation episode, and then there was God, who's who's the best Cardassian ever? Who is his name? I can't remember. I'm totally blanking right now.
The Taylor
Yeah,
guy?
the Taylor.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Garrick. There was
Garrick,
Garrick's not nanny, but I guess that's the closest thing to I could say to it. But Garrick is Garrick's nanny, really, and that's really you don't see. It's mostly the males, which is like what I mean. That would make sense is to have more Cardassian females. If we ever get another Star Trek show, I want to see more Cardassian females because
Okay.
I actually kind of like that culture. Anyway, rant
just-
over.
Yeah, I didn't feel it for the Cardassians.
Oh,
I
God,
can't
yeah.
even say it now.
I know,
Uh,
I know. It's ruined. It's goddamn ruined.
They have to have Bruce Jenner play a Cardassian
Bruce,
in the
who's-
next Star
who's,
Trek.
Who's Bruce Jenner? I'm
Well,
blanking
he's
on
married
that
to
name.
Kim Kardashian's mom. Bruce Jenner, the guy from the Wheaties box. Like
Oh,
won
the
all
the
Olympic stuff.
athlete? Is that the
Yeah,
athlete guy?
he's totally married to. He's Kim Kardashian's daddy.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
stepdaddy maybe, but yeah, totally.
I did not know that.
Yep, yep. Oh boy, Bruce Jenner really has fallen.
Oh,
He's
he's kind of old now, isn't he?
yeah, but he didn't age well. He kind of looks like an old lesbian now.
Oh,
It's like not
Oh.
good. Like
Oh.
if you saw him, you would be like, "Oh yeah, Jim's right." Like not putting anything on, old
so
lesbians. or
maybe
anything,
I don't
but,
know. Did he spend a lot of time in the sun, maybe, or something?
I don't know. It was all the Wheaties, I think, that did him in.
All the Wheaties.
Yeah, it was. I mean, wow. Hold on. I gotta get a picture.
Poor Bruce Jenner. But he's pretty old, isn't he?
Um,
Isn't he like pretty
Yeah,
ancient at this point?
he's pretty old now.
Like
but-
I remember when I was a kid and eating Wheaties, he wasn't young. He was very fit, but he wasn't exactly like
Okay.
in his
Now this, I'm gonna. Should I send this over Steam?
I can't look right now anyway.
Oh.
I'm a little busy shooting droids, dude.
Okay. I was
do you
gonna
not
send you this thing because.
Well, you can send it to me later. I'll look at it later, but
Okay. I just wanted you
I will.
to actually see what I'm talking about because if you just go to images.google.com and search for Bruce Jenner and it's like the second picture that comes up, you're like, what? Because stuff. But anyway, Wheaties.
we've been talking for a while. Maybe we
Yeah.
should wrap this up because
I'm
we got
for you.
we got a good chunk of topics. We got a good chunk of stuff under our belt tonight.
Yeah.
So, folks,
So here's a bonus.
there's a bonus,
Yeah, a
little,
bonus.
little extra.
If
episode.
anyone has actually listened to the show at this far, I have a copy of Strike Vector that's laying in my Steam account, and nobody wants it.
Strike Vector
Yeah, that RTS or not RTS, FPS and
in the air.
jets. Yeah, it's that thing. It's almost like a Robotech thing, right? Because you're flying, and then you can go into like hover mode.
Oh,
and
that
you own
was,
it.
Yeah, I played it once. It wasn't very good.
Right, but I've got it, like an extra copy sitting,
Oh.
and nobody to give it to. So, if anybody actually listens to the show this long, this is how we'll find out. Send an email to unusualpickle@gmail.com, and the subject just Strike Vector, and I will arrange to send it to you.
Oh, well, that's very generous.
I know. It's Bruce generous. Wheaties. Okay.
Oh
Anyway,
God.
and that way we'll know if anybody actually listens to the end of the show or not. So there you go.
Okay, well, folks, that was a fun topic. I enjoyed it. We are 2 days from Thanksgiving here in the U.S., so to all our American listeners and friends, have a happy, healthy, fun, and full of fruitful Thanksgiving.
Foodylicious.
Foodylicious. May you all eat lots of awesome food
Don't choke on
and
the cranberries.
and be slugs. I don't like cranberry sauce.
I don't so much either. I mean, it's like I used to like them, but then they got that song "Zombie," and it was kind of like just too much on the radio.
Jeez.
Like everything else with zombies in it, it just wore thin so quickly. So
I used to be such a huge fan of that band. Basically,
yeah,
until that song. That song kind of
yeah,
ruined it
it
for
did
me.
it, didn't it?
It
It was
kind of
like
did.
that. Yeah, it was like Peter Cetera and the Karate Kid song.
Oh God,
Like
yeah,
just put me off Chicago instantly. So
yeah. No, I'm completely there with you. I was a big fan of Chicago, and then Peter Cetera. Like, I hate that song so much. Hate flames on the side of my face.
yes, sweep the leg. All
So,
right.
folks, thank you for listening. Have a happy, healthy, fun Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week with some Bridge Commander.
Yeah, like the card game, right? They should have a card game called Bridge Commander. It's like the poker game, except it's like Star Trek people sitting around a table. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there.
They did
Somebody
have
should
they
make
did
that.
play they did play poker in the actual game.
They
So
did.
it
So it should be because you saw the like night at the armory or whatever the hell they call it that they have on Steam, and it's got like the Team Fortress 2 guys and the Ash
oh yeah
from
yeah.
Evil Dead, Grateful Dead, you know, and Tycho from Penny Arcade sitting around the table playing poker. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but
ridiculous.
it would be Bridge Commander in 10 forward.
Right. So, folks,
Oh well.
as always, if you have a suggestion for a topic or a guest you would like us to cover or bring on the show,
Keep
hit
it
us
to
up.
yourself.
No.
'Cause-
Uh, we actually encourage. Oh, ow! I'm getting my butt handed to me in this game. Um, yeah, hit us up at hail@spacegamejunkie.com. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show and have a good one. Bye. Oh my God, Miss.